Hello everyone, this is Marcel here. Wanted to talk to you today a little bit about dating crazy people, some of my experiences with it, even recently, and possibly how to interpret the signs and warnings that they give you beforehand. This video topic was inspired by an experience I'm having at the moment with a friend that I met at work a few years back. She and I linked up on Facebook, but we hadn't talked in a long time. I saw her activity and messaged her to see how she was doing, and that started the conversation. The summary of our talk started out with her basically complaining about her boyfriend and how bad he was treating her. She recently found out she has a medical condition that makes her very susceptible to stress. Supposedly, there's been a lot of drama in her household, and that's putting her at risk to have to go back to the hospital. So I did what I always do, which is to give her advice on how to handle situations like that, and assuming she's telling the truth, his treatment of her is not appropriate. She described him as being very violent, to the point where if anybody found out, he would have spent the night in jail. I asked her for an example, and she said he dragged her out of their vehicle and tried to throw her on the ground so that she couldn't stay with him. Supposedly he's very controlling, aggressive, an all-around asshole that she should probably leave. Of course, you try to tell her that, and she starts saying about how much she loves him and she can't do that and he means everything to her, and she tries to say that he's justified in behaving like that. So I ask her why, and she tells me, well, I'm crazy. Within a matter of minutes, this woman explained how she was a codependent psychopath and that his behavior was completely understandable. Now, my first impression of this woman was that she was reaching out for sympathy and wanting attention, maybe actually looking for advice. The more I talked to her, the more I realized that by trying to be helpful, I was presenting myself as a beta male. Within our conversations, which would span for a couple of hours at a time, she would ask me in the most casual context things like, do I have a girlfriend? Am I dating? But none of that directly. When I stepped back and looked at everything we talked about, I realized that this whole issues with her boyfriend, the fact that she's crazy, and asking me about myself is qualifying me and setting me up. Depending on our interactions, she may plan to try to monkey branch to me. I have not encouraged her to do this. I've actually told her I'm not intending to date anyone. I've already told her most of my values, but not to the extent of telling her I'm MGTOW. My main suspicion she's planning to do this comes from the compliments. Very subtle and indirect, like dripping bits of opium in someone's coffee when they're not looking. Not enough to get you high, just enough to get you wanting more. Other things, like how our interests miraculously coincide. If I tell her about something I'm doing, she gets excited and tells me it's a very big deal. There are too many coincidences. Now that I've given context on the situation, I'll point out why it's particularly dangerous. The point where she warned me, and it was a warning, about how crazy she was and the things that she did to her boyfriend to cause him to become that aggressive. She never gave me any specifics, only simply that her behavior was crazy and that she had mental problems. It's not often that truly crazy people know it, and that people with mental problems flaunt them so openly in the beginning of a friendship. This was a calculated move on her part, and she did it with a sound mind. It was not for sympathy. By telling me ahead of time, she buffers me to the situation, and I'm less likely to leave her when she behaves that way towards me. Furthermore, she maintains the moral high ground by having told me ahead of time. She's confident enough in herself and her skills that she's continuing to show interest in me despite the fact that I told her I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. Finally, this whole thing about her not wanting to leave her boyfriend is setting me up to tell her that she should. And if she were to ultimately come to be with me, I would owe her for it because she walked away from someone that she loved so much, despite his behaviors. She also devalues his actions as far as their severity, so that I would be forced to influence her to leave him. She won't do it on her own, and that way if things go awry, she can turn around and blame it on me. Obviously, I'm not going to fall for any of this. It's a cat thinking that she's caught a mouse, not realizing that she has a python. Of course, then again, I could be misreading all of this. I will continue the friendship and continue being a supportive source of advice whenever she wants to talk, but I won't indulge her in any form of progression towards romance. If I'm right about her and her intentions, that's going to drive her crazy. Soon enough, we'll all know the truth of the situation. Ultimately, I'm going to be passive with this person. I'm not going to encourage her either way. I'll let you all know the details as they turn out. Please let me know in the comments below if you think I should be handling this differently. Part of me wants to just walk away from the situation and not deal with it, but we'd be missing out on the knowledge. Out of all the crazy women that I have dated in the past, I would say about half of them told me directly ahead of time. And I admit, I was not as hard on them as I would have been if they hadn't done so. It may be fair to say that when a woman says she's insane and gives you the details as why, take her word for it, because she's either lying to you and you can't trust her, or she's telling you the truth and you should run. Either way, the whole thing feels like just a manipulation tactic. Let me know what you think, and if you want to hear more interesting stories like this, like and subscribe. Just a reminder, if you click that little bell next to the subscribe button, you can get all notifications from your favorite creators, not just what YouTube wants you to see. Take care, everyone.